Welcome to the Party Trick Podcast, where we inspire and empower you to elevate every day.
Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about hosting etiquette. And no, don't worry, I'm not going to go all Emily Post on you. I'm actually going to share some of my favorite don'ts and common mistakes. Not the, hey, make sure you put your salad fork to the left of your dinner fork. I'm really going to talk about those common things that are bigger, higher impact, that impact your guests as well as yourself. So here are some of my favorite things to kind of keep in mind, things that people forget all the time. They forget their restrooms, where it's located and how to give it a little extra attention. So make sure this sounds crazy, but make sure there's extra toilet paper, make sure there's extra guest towels. I actually like using disposable guest towels when people come over because no one wants to go on that hand towel. It's kind of gross. So those little details actually matter. I also find, especially in the winter season, hosts do not contemplate where guests go to drop their coats, their bags, their shoes. So a lot of times people just say, oh, go and pop it in and, on a bed in the guest room. But if you don't have that guest room and you don't want people in your room, for instance, where do people put their coats? Where do they maybe put their umbrella? I love a good coat tree. There are actually some really good, kind of cheap and collapsible ones that you can keep. I just did this recently. I ordered one almost same day because I realized I didn't have a good spot for people to hang up their coats when they were coming over for a party I hosted. So where are people putting their coats? Think about those things. Ice. A lot of times people run out of ice. So when you're thinking about being a gracious hostess and having proper etiquette, have the ice. Also, tongs for the ice. In a pinch, you can use 2 spoons as kind of like a little scooper. But most people will remember, oh, I need ice, and they don't get enough. And even if they do have enough, how people actually get it out and use it effectively. So tongs, little clippers essentially, or in a pinch, 2 spoons. Here's another kind of fail that I find. People don't think about lighting, one in their homes, but also outside of their homes. So first things first, when people come over, almost all the time, whether it's a daytime event or evening event, it's light. Unless they're coming much later and it's dead of January, it's lighter than when they leave. So turn your lights down to what you want it to be when they leave, because inevitably you're going to get to that point of the evening where it's just too bright and a little bit awkward. Now, I'm not saying go and kill all the lights, but kind of test it. We used to do this in large-scale event production. We would do a light check the night before. What does it feel like when your guests arrive? What does it feel like when your guests depart? Sounds a little bit much, but it is something that really changes the look and the feel. Outside, when people leave, is there enough light for them to get safely out of your house? If not, can you put lanterns out there? Could you put luminaries out there? Can you go and buy some quick LED lanterns that you set out that day? Because a lot of times, that's the last impression they have. They walk out and maybe they've had a little bit too much to drink, and then they're going to trip and they're going to fall. They can't find where they're going. So to be gracious in that capacity, consider the lighting inside and especially outside. All right, a couple other things from a hosting etiquette perspective. Share parking tips. Will there be parking? Can you find an address easily? The address on my home is actually really hard to see. So this is about communicating with guests. It's on the side of my house. When I'm hosting, think about your guests and their comfort level and how aware they are. Share parking tips. Don't park on the left side. You park on the right. There's a lot of parking if you just go around the block. Even give them a pin drop. Share if your house is hard to find. Women like identifying items, right? So it's the White House. That's the one with the big green tree. There's Christmas tree lights on versus just actually having, the number or those components. So any of those landmarks are actually really helpful to share versus just, hey, my address is XYZ. So when you're hosting and you're kind of contemplating what these tips and tricks are to make sure you're doing proper etiquette, while I may say these are pushing you past the borderline of etiquette, I really think of this as modern hosting etiquette. These are things that most people don't think about that are going to lead to a better experience. Do people care if your forks are on the left versus on the right? No, yes, they should be on the left, right? But do people really care that much? Not really. Are they going to care if they trip and fall when they leave your house? 100%. So etiquette in this capacity is doing the right thing so your guests have a phenomenal experience. Thank you so much for joining me today.